when you get revenge on a bunt or like someone pimping a home run, it's usually one shot. You don't throw it on multiple times.
You get one shot, you miss. You don't go head hunting or anything. Yeah, you move on.
Exactly. So he missed twice, and then that's kind of where things kind of got heated. Had a few words with the catcher, some words with the pitcher, and then next pitch was 94 at my shoulder.
Wow. So. After the warning, Arnold Leon just drilled Rene Tosoni, and it's on.
Rene Tosoni hits his first major league home run. That's hit well to right center field. Up, back, and gone. A home run for Rene Tosoni. Tosoni drives it to right. Pull fair down the line. Tosoni delivers to tie the game.
Welcome, Rene Tosoni. I'm glad that we could have this conversation because you're someone that I met through baseball. And I don't necessarily recall the details of how we met, but it's through mutual friends and obviously Baseball Canada that, we kind of connected. I believe it was through my apparel company, Apple Taco. You're in the minor leagues and you're supporting my brand, which I'm always appreciative of. And we're basically now working on an education platform together. I just want to recall how you seen it, like when we first met, what your story is with that.
Thanks for having me here. I don't know when we physically met, but I think I reached out to you when I was in the minor league sometime. And I know Morneau was rocking your Oppo Taco gear in the locker room and stuff like that. And that's kind of when I was down south and I just wanted to wear something Canadian that was street apparel. And I reached out to you to see if I can kind of represent your brand. And you sent me some shirts and hats. And I'm pretty sure I ended up selling
What year was that? That was like 2010 maybe?
That was 2000. I think I was with the Brewers. It may have been 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember wearing it around. You sent me a bunch of red stuff for like Canada Day and stuff like that. So I had and my eye wash shirt that I wore all the time. And
that was specifically for you because
I'm an eye wash kind of player.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like the 80 poo shirts and the guys in the locker room loved it. So that's where like kind of where we connected. And I think about 3 or 4 years later, I happened coming into town for the banquet and you had me come out. And I did kind of like a little photo shoot for your brand. Yeah, I was the face of your company before.
You were the face of our company, and look at you now.
Yeah, right.
Just take me back to your playing career. Being a Canadian kid, myself too. Coming from Scarborough, Ontario, it was very rare to see, I guess, guys playing baseball at a high level, especially without the internet. It was like you see it in the newspaper or whatever. I remember seeing your name always. Obviously, you had a extensive playing career. Walk us through kind of like what it was like playing in Canada and then getting to where you were. I believe you went to college. You didn't sign professionally out of high school, right? You went to junior college?
Yeah. So I grew up in Port Coquitlam in just outside Vancouver. Played BC minor baseball. Went from multi-sport guy, so I was playing hockey, soccer, baseball, school sports, basketball, and volleyball. And then kind of got to that point where I had to pick a sport, and it was baseball I chose. Went to the Coquitlam Reds, which is in the Premier Baseball League out west, one of the more elite leagues in Canada, I guess. We have the longer summers, so we get a good handful of, or a good season, probably about 60 games probably.
Oh wow,
yeah, a little bit different than out here, right? I was able to make like Team BC summer games and stuff like that, and from that, Greg Hamilton saw me, and I was put on the junior national team as a grade 11. I was in the qualifier that year in Cuba. We didn't qualify, but I had a really good tournament. I was with Saunders, Mike Griffin, Taylor Green. With some good players there, and I actually ended up getting MVP of the tournament, or not tournament, but like the Team Canada Banquet Award. So
the junior national team MVP?
The junior team, yeah.
Me too.
Well, there
1999. What year were you?
Oh, mine must have been 03.
03.
Yeah.
There you go. 2 junior national team MVPs right here.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Justin Morneau. What's the relationship with Justin Morneau?
Morneau is a player, like he's from New West, right? And everybody knows Justin, big big leaguer with the Twins, but I didn't really have a real relationship with him until I got into the Twins organization, and I was there probably 3 years before I actually had a physical conversation with him. And he
big leagued you.
I think maybe like I got into the organization and I was just a player, and then I think I started standing out a little bit more, and he caught wind that I was going into the Futures game to represent Canada and the world team. And he was also in town for the All-Star game, and he reached out, and he actually like, I haven't physically met this guy yet, and he reached out to me and said that he contacted the clubhouse guy and got 2 or 3 extra world jerseys made for my family to hand out to, like, I think I gave one my brother and my dad, and I don't know who else I handed out the other ones to. But yeah, just out of nowhere, he just like, hey, Clubby has some extra jerseys for you. Just want to say congratulations, and then I'll reach out to you this winter and maybe we'll get together. And honestly, that was the only conversation. And then like December, that was in like June, I guess, when the All-Star game is. And then in December, he called me. He was like, he asked me if I wanted to come down to Arizona and train with them, because I got invited to big league camp. Okay. And then he asked. So I, again, still haven't physically met him. First time I met him is when I flew into Arizona on January 2nd. He picked me up, brought me to his house, and next 3 years I lived with him in the winter and just prepared for spring training. And if it wasn't for him, like, I don't know if my career would have gone the way it was, with just the opportunities I had being with him and training with the guys that were there. Like Max Scherzer was there, and we trained with Adam Lowen and so some big names, and it was a great experience. And I ended up buying a house down there. I loved Arizona so much.
Oh, nice. And you still have a relationship with Justin, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. We, when I got called up to the big leagues, I didn't stay in the hotel. My wife and I would stay with him in his basement. And then, we text every once in a while. His anniversary is like a couple days after ours, my wife and I. And it's funny, like the first year I went there, so I got down January 2nd. Their anniversary is the 11th, I think. And my brother's wedding was January 2nd or 20th, or I don't know when it was, sometime middle of January. And that winter, I was talking with my brother, and I decided to buy a ring for Whitney and Morneau and his wife, and we were with Gretzky and his family. They all knew that I was going to propose to my wife in Mexico after my brother's wedding. I didn't want to take anything away from him, but my brother was into it. And so was his wife. So he knew that I was going to propose, and and like I said, I was with Morneau 6 days. Or I didn't mention this. So when he brought me down, I was there a week, and he's like, hey, we're going to Vegas for our anniversary with the Gretzkys. I was like, oh, so am I staying here? He's like, nope, you're coming along. And then, so I caught a flight with him to Vegas, and my wife and met us like that night. And then I didn't propose there, but like everybody knew that I was doing, because I don't know how the hell the conversation came up, but it was a pretty good trip. And first week meeting the guy and living in his house and hanging out with Wayne Gretzky. And
wow, that's
Vegas.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, he's a huge hockey fan too. So Gretzky being there was obviously massive for both of you guys. Yeah. But probably for you as well, right?
Yeah, I was in awe. Oh yeah, for sure. Like we roll right into the Bellagio that morning and then go right to lunch, and I met his whole family. I'm like, surreal, like what is going on? I'm telling my wife, texting my wife, like, you better get your ass down here. Like she's unsure. She's like telling her boss that because she was supposed to work. Right. It's like once in a lifetime. There's through Morneau, there's lots of things that I've done in my life that I would never
experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. People I've met.
Was he there when you made your major league debut? Or,
oh yeah.
Yeah. He teammates. Yeah. You guys were called up at the same time when he was. Obviously, he's a Minnesota Twin legend. Yeah. So having him there as well in your big league debut. Yeah,
he was there. I don't know if he was healthy though. He was in and out of, like, on and off the disabled list that year. I think that was the year after his concussion.
Oh right.
That he got in Toronto. But yeah, he was definitely there. Definitely cheering me on. The guy hit my first at bat, and it was a really cool experience.
So you talk about like Minnesota Twins. You come from a background where you went to junior college in Florida, right?
Yeah, Chipola Junior College.
Chipola Junior College, where Russ Martin also went. Adam Lowen. Yeah. So
Jose Bautista.
Jose Bautista isn't Pujols.
I don't think Pujols.
No, not
Pujols.
Pujols.
I'm not sure the other big names.
There's some big names, I think.
Yeah,
Chipola's
they do really
well-known.
well. Yeah. Rene Tosoni.
Rene Tosoni. Yeah, you can't forget that name. But what was kind of like that transition? Because obviously you're going through levels from high school baseball, going to junior national team, to going to junior college, and then it's not like you're staying there for 3 years. This was kind of like 1 year after the other. Things are kind of progressing in your baseball career. Like, what would you say was the kind of like the biggest shift from going from that junior college to minor league baseball and then eventually making the big leagues?
As a high school player, I wanted to play in the big leagues, but realistically, I never thought I was going to be a big leaguer. All I wanted to do was play at the next level. That was my biggest goal. So I just want to be the best guy on the field today. And I want to come out and compete. And then I got a scholarship out of it. I played with Team Canada out of it. Went to college. I got drafted out of high school, but it was draft and follow back then. So I didn't think it meant something, but I didn't know if anything would come of it. I went to college, sucked my first year. I was terrible. Totally changed my swing. I changed the player I was. I don't know why. Just because I felt like I had to hit more home runs or whatever.
Right.
I ended up getting redrafted by the Twins, but in the 36th round, or 4 rounds later than the year before. And then my second year at Chipola, again, just tried to go back to the basics, play the game the way I knew how to, and aggressive, and end up having a really good year. And at the end of the year, the Twins offered me not a lot of money, but I knew I didn't want to go back to school. Right. I wanted to get my foot in the door and play pro ball. I'm not, I wasn't a terrible student, but I wanted to play baseball.
Right.
So yeah, that just kind of was my mindset throughout the minor leagues too. I was a 36 rounder signing for not a lot of money, and there was, kids younger than me that were millionaires and, playing over me. And I signed as a first and third baseman, and I was 6 foot, 200 pounds, and I didn't hit a lot of homers. So in early in my career, I didn't play much. And then there were some injuries in the outfield, and I just asked to get in the outfield because I knew there were spots there available, and I just got in the outfield. I never looked back.
You were a shortstop before?
I've played short in high school, but
self-proclaimed shortstop.
Yeah, I was always third or first in college, and then got in the outfield. I played some outfield in high school too, Team Canada as well, but not a lot.
Right.
And then again, every level, just tried to be the best guy out there and take advantage when I could, and I stood out, and I just kind of rode the wave. I played wherever they put me. You go high A, challenge yourself there, and then you're moving on up to Double A. It's I'm one of the youngest guys in the locker room in Double A, and still hanging with the big boys then, and again competed and kept moving along the way. A couple injuries made the path a little bit easier for me, and that's kind of how I got there. Delman Young was on and off the disabled list. Jim Thome was on and off the disabled list, so I got up DH, played left field, and up and down when I was in AAA, so it's up and down the big leagues.
Nice. So let's fast forward to kind of your because you're known very well in the Canadian baseball community, at least with I guess a well-known thing that happened in the 2013 World Baseball Classic with the brawl versus Mexico in the WBC, which you were the batter, and which we have a little a little segment coming up. We're producing a segment based on that with pretty cool insight stories from perspectives of players that were there. So we're working on that right now. But for those that don't know, it was a brawl against Mexico. Can you just walk us through that really quick? You don't have to go in detail because we'll show you the video when we produce it. But for me, seeing that, it was kind of like a proud Canadian moment because it was we were winning the game. Obviously, the rules were that the run differential does matter. So you guys were playing the typical, I guess, stereotypical Canadian baseball where it's play the game hard, look down, and that's all you can do, right? Mm-hmm. So Tell us about that game against Mexico.
Yeah, that was a big game for us. Just the tournament in general is really hard to move on to the next round, right? So international baseball is you need runs, right? It's run differential. So in that scenario, we were up 9-3, and Robbie was batting in front of me, Chris Robertson, and he saw that third baseman was back and took advantage in the 9th inning and got an easy hit. And in Major League, minor league baseball, that's kind of like an unwritten rule. You don't bunt.
Right.
You're kind of rubbing it in the other team's face when you're up a bunch of runs. But this is International League Baseball, so we're just trying to get guys on base and score some runs to give us a better opportunity to move forward in the tournament. And as soon as Robbie bunted, I kind of had that feeling that everybody's thinking that's not the right thing to be doing right now.
I'm sure that's running through your head.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And then like going into the batter's box, I knew it. I wasn't going to swing that first pitch, and pitcher threw at me and missed. And then, just kind of second pitch, I wasn't sure if he would or not. So I stood in the box. Hopefully like he would compete and throw a strike. And again, he threw at me, and then you kind of get like, when you get revenge on a bunt or like someone pimping a home run, it's usually one shot. You don't throw it multiple times.
You get one shot, you miss. You don't go headhunting or anything. Yeah, you move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he missed twice, and then that's kind of where things kind of got heated. That's where the warnings went both sides in the dugouts. Had a few words with the catcher, some words with the pitcher, and then next pitch was 94 at my shoulder. So, and from there, it was just kind of a blur, honestly. Right. Like, I remember the catcher standing in front of me and Pete Orr right beside me, and people being thrown around and kicking.
It was awesome. From a fan standpoint, watching it, it was a proud Canadian moment, definitely. I remember Jay Johnson throwing haymakers. Yeah. Like, I just see Tyson Gillies flipping people.
Yeah.
Like, it was a wild experience that you don't really see, because fighting's not really a part of baseball. It's usually just kind of like bench clearing brawls, but then to see like fists throwing,
got
it's
a bunch of Canadian boys who've been on the ice.
Well, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's their second nature to, get into fights. But what would you say is the difference between international baseball and kind of like professional baseball?
Professional baseball is a long season, right? So you play game to game. There is a lot of excitement for sure, but it's you get into this just kind of routine. You show up to the field, you do your work, you play the game, you win, you lose, and it comes down to like honestly the last 2 weeks, and then like we're either in it or we're out. We're international baseball. It doesn't matter if you go 4 for 4 or 0 for 4, as long as you got the runner over or you did anything you could to help the team win at that time, because you're winning every game. You have to win as much as you can to move on, or tournament's over, you go home, right? So that's the big thing about international baseball.
I remember like when I was playing professional baseball, I was having a bad year that year, but I still had it was the 2005 World Cup where we were in Holland, and it was kind of like a refresh. Like, even though I had a bad season in pro ball, this was kind of like a different setting, a different kind of atmosphere, a different reason why we're here. And I kind of, I guess, fell in love with baseball again after, that international experience, representing Canada and playing, across the world against other professional players that are playing for their countries, right? So I always thought international baseball is something special that, and I'm glad that like the WBC, for instance, is becoming more popular. More people are getting interested because baseball is a global sport. It's not just dominated on the western part of the western part of the world anymore. There's a lot of Asian countries that are up and coming. There's a lot of, now with Baseball United in the Middle East, I think there's a lot of room for growth in international baseball. But I would say that's the biggest thing that I felt was there's a lot. The perspective is different. It's not saying one is better than the other. The quality of baseball, I'm sure, is just as good on both sides, but there's a lot more on the line when it comes to international baseball.
Yeah, honestly, like the most fun I've ever had has been playing on Team Canada.
Wow.
Like it's the brotherhood. Like it's a long season, right? To play regular minor league baseball, and like if you're in a losing streak, like it's tough. Like guys, rub each other the wrong way. Like to have a winning team, you have to have good camaraderie. Like one of my two favorite like teams we're playing with were when we were all really close. Like my last year in Sugar Land playing indie ball, like we won the whole thing, and we were just all really tight knit. Like if there was a bad batch, we either, a bad teammate, we would call him out and and make him honestly feel bad about being a bad teammate, and then you either jump back in with the team or you leave, right? And we made trades to get the right guys, and that was Gary Gaetti was my manager, and he preached on having good people in the locker room. And by the end of the year, everybody was a good person. We all pulled for each other, and same with international baseball. Like we go a whole year without seeing each other. We may play against each other, but then we meet up for a 3-4 week tournament, and it's like we've never left each other's sides. We're like buddies from high school. Like we've played against each other for the most part, but now we're playing together side by side, and it's like such a good time. You're representing Canada. You're run differential, so you're trying to score as many runs as you can, and you're just competing hard and playing different countries and seeing the way that they play baseball. Like everybody plays baseball for the most part the same way, but some organized or countries pitch differently. They their shifting's different, or their fielding kind of is a little unique, right? So it's fun to play Cuba, it's fun to play Taiwan, fun to play US, right? It's awesome. Like it's best experience.
What would you say, other than the 2013 WBC Mexico Brawl, what would be kind of like the most memorable experience for you in terms of putting on a Team Canada uniform?
Well, like the Pan Am Games, we won the gold medal against USA. That was huge.
Yeah, anytime we beat USA, or even play US, it's massive.
Exactly. And we they won it in 2011 when I wasn't there. So to be able to come back to Canada in Toronto and represent Canada on our home soil, right? And then that. I don't know if you've seen highlights of it. Obviously you have. It was a back and forth game.
Crazy game.
Yeah, like one of my biggest home runs in international baseball was off Hader in that game. Like we were down 2 runs. I hit a 3-run homer to take the lead.
Right.
That ball hit hard to right field. Rene Tosoni, has he done it? Yes, he has. Rene Tosoni has tied this ball game up with a 3-run blast.
We just battled. We had Francis out there. We had O'Neill in the outfield. We had Pete Orr out there. Like it was a legendary lineup. We had some older guys. We had some younger guys, and that's definitely a big time memorable moment. I have a bunch. Like there's, I
remember watching a game. I think it was in Taiwan, I want to say. Yeah. And I want to say it was maybe Premier 12. Yeah. Not 100% sure.
I know where you. Yeah.
Yeah, like where you had an outstanding game, and to end the game, there was a play that you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, it didn't end the game. So we were Mulliken was pitching, Dustin Mulliken was pitching, and we're playing Chinese Taipei with like 35,000 fans in I think it was the 8th inning. I think we're up by 1. I may have just hit a go-ahead homer or something like that, and bases loaded, 2 out, and there was a ball crushed to right center. And I'm with Tyson Gillies in center field, and I'm in right field, and I'm hauling to this gap. Like, I need to catch this ball. And Tyson's much faster than I am. And I was calling the ball, and I look at him, and he's calling it too, and I just knew that he was going to get there. Like, I thought I was going to have to dive. And then when I saw him a couple steps ahead of me, I kind of slowed down, and he made a great catch at the fence and hit the wall. And just kind of being the player that I've always been, is always like never give up on a play. So he hit the wall, and I saw the ball just come bouncing out of his glove, and it went to me, right, for the 3rd out of the inning, and save us 4 runs from scoring, right? So that was a huge moment in my career too, just because the atmosphere was crazy.
Oh yeah, 35,000 Taiwanese fans yelling at you, screaming. I bet you it's like so loud.
Yeah, it was fun. It was that was a real good game too. And then I think we came in the dugout, scored a couple runs. I think we ended up winning by 3 or something like that. That was a big game.
So now, just quickly, going towards coaching. You're involved in coaching now, and you kind of grew up playing in the early 2000s, mid 2010s and stuff like that. What would you say is the biggest kind of like difference back then? Because what you're mentioning is we're facing like Team USA, Chinese Taipei, Japan. All these games are very close games, and I feel like back then we used to have a lot of battles with the top teams in the world.
Yeah.
I guess now you come from a coaching perspective. You coach with the Braves, Atlanta Braves in the minor leagues. You're involved in youth coaching here in Coquitlam. What would you say is the biggest difference between kind of like now and back then in terms of development, you as a coach, you as a player coming up, and then you as a coach seeing it?
It's hard to say, like, because when we came up, it was so old school, right? Like,
Right.
just reps. There's lots of reps, lots of ground balls. Like, the mechanics of my swing were, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of my swing mechanics, like even fielding wise. Like, I got behind the ball. I wasn't really taught how to read short hops and stuff like that.
Right.
I just kind of naturally started doing that with so many reps. Now I feel like the knowledge of baseball, there are a lot of players that have played college or higher helping out, coaching somewhere. There's so much more available online and stuff like that.
Right.
Kids are doing like arm care programs, weighted ball stuff. Like the velo's way up compared to when we played. Like the average fastball when I was in the big leagues was like 94.
Right.
I think now it is like 97.
Yeah,
right?
it keeps on going up.
Yeah, and the work ethic too. I think these kids are in the gym earlier. Like as a Coquitlam coach, like we have a strength program. Like all our guys go to a program in Burnaby called Next Step, and they're getting bigger and stronger. Like that's kind of what you need to do. It's almost year round. Like when I played, it was like baseball in the summer or hockey in the winter, right? So I was playing multiple sports. I still encourage multiple sports, but like we have 2 months off in the year, probably maybe 3. The traveling is more like I think like visually these kids are being seen more if it's on Twitter, Instagram, sending videos out, going to showcases and stuff like that. Like, did you ever do a showcase when you were
No, that's the crazy thing. If you look back and when what I see is like there was maybe 1 or 2 showcases. I was fortunate enough to be invited to the area code games, and that was like the biggest kind of showcase world in high school. But there wasn't really anything other than
games.
that,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't think we had the technology to say, okay, we're gonna work on increasing your velocity because we have the science behind it, we have the technology behind it. Now that's readily available, I think part of the reason why what I'm seeing from at least a coaching development standpoint is that we're going into that direction of we're finding out how to enhance the physical ability or capabilities of our bodies. Mm-hmm. And we're doing a good job in that sense where, like you said, the average velocity in MLB is like 97 now or whatever it is. And that's the result of, backed by science, kind of like you get the proper data points or whatever, and you're able to analyze and enhance the physical capabilities. But when you focus in on that and you take the element of the baseball IQ, how the game needs to be played, I feel like that's where, especially in Canadian baseball, I would say we get affected a little more than kind of like the U.S. programs in general, because we follow kind of like the way the U.S. develops. And as we do that, I feel like our kids aren't as good as, or at least not as good, I wouldn't say, because they're probably physically more talented now.
But baseball IQ is not there. I totally agree.
Yeah, and that's where
they're too concerned about exit velos and their
I didn't know
velos.
I didn't know my exit velo, to be honest.
I still don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my whole point. Those are all results of an athletic swing, or if you're playing professional or collegiate level, you're a strong kid. You're on time. You make solid contact. Your exit velo should be in the kind of median or upper end of kind of like that level you're playing at, right? Whether it's 97, whether it's 105, that really doesn't matter. It's did you square it up, or did you move the runner?
Strikes?
Do you throw strikes? Well, it's basic baseball IQ, right?
Yeah, that's the hard part right now, coaching. Like I want the kids to be bigger, better, stronger. I want them to know that they have good exit velos and are getting better off the mound, throwing harder, right? But again, like we are, as a program, we're trying to preach like how to pitch. Like we want to make sure these kids know why they're throwing a curveball. I want these hitters to know why. I have the curveball machine set up today. It's like how often I should hope you should know how to hit a fastball, but do you guys know how to hit a curveball and when is a good time to hit a curveball? Like that approach of the game. Yeah, I agree. Like I don't know if that's as I definitely learned the game very well when I was younger because that's kind of the coaching was. It wasn't so mechanical. It was the IQ of the game. Now and I do it myself. I coach hitting and very mechanical swings. And then I also try to help with approach as a hitter. Right. But is everybody doing that? I don't know, right? Yeah. So that's a big difference, right?
Yeah, no, that's 100% kind of like what I see. And, you know, at the end of the day, for me as a coach, it's all about the evolvement of we're learning too as coaches every day. There's new technology. The way the game's played is different. Rules are changing every year. So we are adapting as well to the change. Not saying that it's bad or good or we're so going in the wrong direction that, you know, something needs to change. It's like everything kind of plays into kind of like that future version of how this is all going to look when it's all said and done. And I think the first thing that we as coaches need to do is have these conversations. Are we doing justice for development, for instance, right? Instead of saying, okay, my goal is to hit off, 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour off a tee or whatever it is, right? So I think having conversations, the internet allows us to have these podcasts, these open mic conversations will kind of lead us eventually to kind of that solution that we're kind of looking at from a coaching perspective, right? So.
Yeah, then the game, there's so much inside the game, right? You can swing, you can throw, you can field, but like there's so much more. Like what are you looking for? Are you in the outfield, do you know the hitter at the plate? Is he a pull guy? Is he hit the ball the other way? Is my pitcher throwing 95 or is he throwing 85? Right. So is this guy going to be ahead of the ball? Like, do I have to play pull side? There's so much more to the game that you learn through experience for sure. But you also want the coaches to know when, be able to coach that too. Don't just go out there and stand in the same spot every time, right? Make adjustments, play the game, play it hard, and always pay attention, right?
Right. Just last point on development. If we're teaching coaches or talking to coaches, what's one thing that we could give in terms of advice nowadays with all these profiles, with all these exit velos and technology? How can we do development justice in your opinion?
I wouldn't take away from any of that stuff that's going on for sure. I think what I've found honestly is like it's okay to fail. Like
embrace failure.
Yeah, embrace failure. Like that's how you're gonna learn. Like all the mistakes I've made has made me better because I don't want to do it again. Right. Where you get coaches that, someone fails, you're yelling at them or taking them off the field. Right. The kid's not gonna get better that way. What's the end goal? We're here to win a championship, or are we here to develop kids so they can go play, college ball? This is at like a high school, low level that I'm talking about. Yes, we want to win, but you're only gonna win if they get better, right? So that side of it for sure. The analytics stuff and the exit velo stuff, I'm in on it. It's just that to a certain extent for sure.
Okay, last totally different subjects. Get off development a bit. I want to hear the story. I'm a big sports card collector, as you know, and your name popped up actually in the card community. And there was a backstory. So there's things called First Bowman Chrome cards, which is the most sought after baseball card. And you have a story where a bunch of your cards went missing. Are you aware of that?
Yeah,
you're not a collector, but
no, I'm not a collector.
The story's out there.
And I learned this years after I signed these cards. Like I remember it was in 2008. I was in high A. I broke my foot, so I was on the DL, and I just signed a Topps deal. So I was signing like 3,000 cards. So this Topps representative came to my apartment with boxes of cards, and I legit sat there for 4 hours signing cards. And then I gave the cards back, and he left, right? And then like the next 2-3 years, I guess people were getting like a blank card in these Topps packages saying like, oh, Rene Tosoni card coming soon or something. Like they had to like mail it in to get my card or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
Redemption, yeah.
Yeah. So like I was kind of, I don't know. Everybody would be like, hey, Tosoni, like, still haven't gotten your card yet. You know when it's coming out? And I had no idea.
You already signed it. You already
I
signed
already
it.
signed
You're
it.
like,
It was gone. Yeah. I got paid for them and everything. Right. And then one day my mom like sent me a link about a form saying that like my cards are being sold online, like on eBay, and they were apparently they were stolen or fell off a truck or something like that. So I don't know the whole story of it, but they're out there. They're on eBay. They're somewhere. Not very expensive for them. I'm sure they're cheap. But yeah, none of the fans who got those top packets never got their cards, I guess.
So if you're a collector, there's a backstory that you didn't know about. You got to go get the Rene Tosoni Bowman First Chrome card.
Yeah, they're more rare now, I guess. They're stolen.
Well, awesome, man. I appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. I know you could, keep talking when it comes to just regular conversations, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna have more conversations on the podcast with you being involved with OTU, the online curriculum that we're launching through Oppo Taco. So appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to chat.